Good evening, and welcome to our classical music series. My name is David Merrill, and I'm the Director of Music here at Woods Memorial Presbyterian Church. Tonight, we have two dear friends of mine and incredible musicians, Mr. David Hildebrandt and Mrs. Ginger Hildebrandt. And they are going to be blessing us on some really cool instruments. We have violin, piano, guitar, and hammered dulcimer. It's going to be so exciting. As you can see, I am not wearing a mask for the first time in one of these introductions. Our task force has kindly allowed up to 3 fully vaccinated people to be able to perform without masks on here in the sanctuary. So you will also see Ginger and David not have their masks on this evening. Next month is our final series of our classical music series. But what is exciting is we'll have the opportunity to come to the church to be able to hear the music live, in addition to streaming it online. Please look for information about that in our messenger that comes out here at Woods Church. A huge thank you to our live stream team tonight. We have Mr. Alec Green on sound and Mr. Ed Lambert up there on our video switcher. Tonight, there will be no program, as Ginger and David would like to speak about their pieces in between. So it will be one continuous stream this evening. And finally, if you would like to donate to this series or the music here at Woods, you may do so by texting Woods Music to 73256. Now, let us open in a word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for all the blessings that you give us, and thank you for this glorious and incredible music. Allow it to bless our lives this evening, and allow it to bring us even closer to you. In your name we humbly pray. Amen. Thank you again for being here, and enjoy.
Thank you so much, Dave. It is such a pleasure to be back here in this space. It's so beloved to us. Our beloved people are not here tonight. Next. We start our program with a beloved tune of ours, Morgan McGann, written by the blind Irish harp player from the 18th century, Turlough O'Carolan. next tune is a more modern piece of music, Carolina Sunrise. It was written by a dear friend of mine, Susan Conger.
Hit the stage in London in 1728, something called now, as well as back then, ballad opera, and one in particular caught on here in the American colonies. I'm speaking of the Beggar's Opera. The song Mac the Knife comes from a redo of the Beggar's Opera in the 20th century, but we'll go back to the 18th and share three of our favorite songs from the Beggar's Opera. First, a love song, a boasting song of Captain Macheath, followed by the song when he thinks he's about to be hanged. Luckily, he doesn't get hanged in the opera. That's to the tune of Greensleeves, you may notice. And the third song is our favorite love song of the piece, Over the Hills and Far Away. If the heart of a man is depressed with cares, the mist is dispelled when a woman appears. Like the notes on a fiddle, she sweetly, sweetly raises our spirits and charms our ears. Roses and lilies her cheeks disclose, but her ripe lips are more sweet than those. Press her, caress her with blisses and kisses, dissolve us in pleasure and soft repose. daisies her cheeks disclose, but her ripe lips are more sweet than those. Caress her with blisses and kisses, dissolve us in pleasure and soft repose. Since laws were made for every degree to cure vice and others as well as me, I wonder I ain't better company upon Tyburn tree. But gold from law can take out the sting, and if rich men like you were to swing, 'twould thin the land such numbers to string upon Tyburn tree. Laid on Greenland's coast, and in my arms embraced my lass, warm amidst eternal frost, too soon the half-year's night would pass, and I would love thee every day. Every night we'd kiss and play, if with me you'd fondly stray, over the hills and far away. Indian soil, soon as the burning day was closed, I would mock the sultry toil if on my lover's breast reposed, and I would love thee every day. Every night we'd kiss and play, if with me you'd fondly stray, over the hills and far away.
Our next tune is from the Shetland Islands, written by a man named Tom Anderson, contemporary composer. He calls this tune Das Laket Light, that is in the Shetland dialect. The translation would be the extinguished light. And what he was writing about was the fact that there were so many people emigrating from the Shetland Islands that each season he noticed fewer and fewer lights on in his town, and he was mourning his friends having left. I play this more for my own mourning. Excuse me. We have Memorial Day weekend coming up, and we have the end of this huge pandemic. There are a lot of things to mourn at this time, and it's a beautiful little tune, and Das Laket Light.
Social dancing is something we still enjoy today. It goes back centuries. If we go back 2.5 centuries to London and to Annapolis at the same time, you would hear danced the next tune entitled Sun Assembly. Assembly refers to the fact that people come together and they prepare for their dances, they pay for the dance hall and so forth, and they assemble together in joy. We follow our morning with a little bit of joy now.
We're going to change our instrumentation just a tiny little bit, really quickly right now. I'll be going to the hammered dulcimer. Hammered dulcimer is an instrument that goes all the way back to the 12th century, which means that it has disseminated all over the globe. It has gotten many names to it. It can be called a psaltery if it's plucked. Zither, also plucked. Hochbrett, hammered. Santur, salterio. And there are probably many, many other names for this instrument. But it finds itself in the same class of stringed instruments as the piano because of its struck strings. The first tune we'll do on this is 2 tunes, actually. Planxty, Fanny Power. A Planxty is a piece of music written for Fanny Power. This is by that same blind Irish harp player, Turlough O'Carolan. We'll follow that with a dear piece to us. It is from the 18th century, a Welsh piece called Sweet Richard.
as long as we're introducing instruments, this is a guitar. I've always been jealous that she gets the really cool instrument that people hardly ever see or hear, and it just sounds so gorgeous. And I get the guitar. We return to the stage of the English opera, now from a little later in the 18th century than the Beggar's Opera, to one called The Poor Soldier, and a love song from that, entitled The Rose Tree. This opera was written right after the American Revolution and debuted in London. Its American premiere was in Baltimore in 1785. The Poor Soldier's love song, A Rose Tree. A rose tree in full bearing had sweet flowers fair to see, one rose beyond comparing, for beauty attracted me. A rose tree in full bearing had sweet flowers fair to see, one rose beyond comparing, for beauty attracted me. Though eager then to win it, lovely blooming fresh and gay, I find a canker in it, and now throw it far away. This morning early, so sun shining clear and bright, so late I loved you dearly, though lost now each fond delight. The clouds seem big with showers, sunny beams no more are seen. Farewell, ye fleeting hours, your falsehood has changed the scene. The clouds seem big with showers, sunny beams no more are seen. Farewell, ye fleeting hours, your falsehood has changed the scene. As you may have noticed, it's a love song that ends Act 1 on a down note. Our next piece is a bit reminiscent of the chord progression of Pachelbel's canon. In fact, I believe if you go online and you look up that progression, someone has compiled about 87 different pieces of music from the classical era up to modern times that borrow part or all of this chord sequence. It's a country dance tune entitled Hole in the Wall, and it's by Henry Purcell.
And one last tune for you tonight. Thank you so much for being with us.
We think you're out there.
This is a tune by another friend of ours. Liz Carroll is probably the most acclaimed Irish fiddle player on the planet. And of course, she lives in Chicago, not Dublin. This is a tune that she, it's not a Christmas tune, but she titled it Little Christmas after a Christmas kind of thing that they do in their family. Little Christmas by Liz Carroll.
Thank you all for joining us this evening, and thank you, Woods Church, for sponsoring a music series to pull us out of the pandemic.